Yeah, I ground up rare elements and put them into this, infuse them into this natural wood canvas
Right.
from an aged wise oak tree.
I rearranged them in a way that pleases the eye.
Yeah, that draws energy from stars.
You mean lights just hitting your canvas and bouncing?
Yeah, from star. You don't say stars, just like from star.
From star. Welcome back, everybody, to
a little podcast called Waiting to Dry.
I am not finding the button I want to press.
Sergio Lopez.
Yes. I'm little Sergio Lopez. Where did that go? Dang. Oh, here it is.
And there he is, little Sergio Lopez.
Seems like those buttons should be very close.
It's cool.
Yeah. They're in alphabetical order, so I'm like, oh. But then the writing, the text on these buttons is way too small for me to be actually looking through this. But yeah, that's me, little Sergio Lopez.
I'm Josh Lawyer.
And yep, back to our awkward selves as always.
If you were expecting a nice, orderly intro, you're at the wrong place.
Right.
Go to suggested donations or some shit like that. Exactly. Suggested donations, I feel like, have a similar...
That's true. They do have like a little bit of a rambling intro as well.
Yes, Artist Decoded by a very professional intro.
Right, yeah. That's true. No rehearsals allowed here.
Yeah, no written scripts, no. Just artists fumbling through their lives.
Speaking of awkward artists, did a Plein event yesterday. A lot of... awkward people. A lot of artists being awkward, even though we've known each other for years.
Why is that?
Just because we just don't know how to socialize very well with each other.
Like because of the pandemic or just in general?
Pandemic probably has a little bit to do with that, but I think just in general.
Yeah.
Just people not seeing each other for like a couple of years, and it's like first time I see them, just like, hey, what's been going on? Shit.
Yeah, that conversation sucks.
Yeah.
It's like there should be like a, can we just hit the fast forward on all the bullshit?
Right, yeah.
About like, whoa, last year was crazy. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you know? But yeah. Yeah. The weird part for me is like hug stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, do you hug or no?
I just wait for the other person to make a move.
Yeah.
Just whatever they want to do. Fist pound, elbow bump.
I enjoy giving hugs, but I don't enjoy giving hugs to people who don't enjoy giving hugs.
Right, yeah.
So if you're not a hug giver, I'm like, I'll shake your hand.
Yeah.
I don't want to hug you because you suck at hugging. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to hug you because you make hugs suck.
Right.
So yeah, but it's hard to read that situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? But good hug people, you guys are awesome. And girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, so that's, to me, that's been the weird one, is like people that, when two hug people get together, I feel like there's already like especially if you know each other, there's already like, oh, we hug.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, do we?
Right, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that sucks.
Do we mask up before we hug?
Yeah. Yeah, we doing elbows or what?
Right.
Elbows or fist bump or handshake or hug.
Yeah.
They've introduced the elbow as a new intro.
Right.
And then if you could have invested in fist bumps right now, you would be like really good.
Wait, is this turning into another crypto?
Yeah, this would be, you would be doing real well. The stock on fist bump is going really high.
Right.
But yeah, it's like the equivalent to like American flags after 9/11.
Right. Yeah.
Which just happened yesterday.
That's right.
It's funny because MJ's sister Karen's, her birthday is on September 11th.
Oh, okay.
And so I remember her birthday. I'm horrible. I don't even remember MJ's birthday fully.
Yeah.
It's always like a guess as far as the number, but her sister's birthday I always remember because obviously, it's attached to like a date that everyone knows.
Oh, okay.
But yesterday I was like on TikTok flipping through it, and like all this like 9/11 stuff started popping up, and I'm like, why is this on my feed today?
Yeah.
And and I think was it also on like Instagram or something like that. There was like it was like showing up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was like, what is the deal with this? Are they like, is this because we pulled out of Afghanistan or some shit? Like,
Oh, right.
and I just, for some weird reason, didn't make the connection. And then we were driving to have dinner with MJ's family for Karen's birthday. And there's that like little military spot right by the college.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the flag was at half mast. And I'm like, why is the flag at half mast? Like, did something recently happen?
Oh, yeah.
And then MJ was like 9/11. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's why. Like it took me the entire day. So even though I knew it was September 11th because it was her sister's birthday, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like a weird like I don't know.
Yeah, we had a similar thing when we were driving back from Sonoma yesterday. Vanessa and I see this. There was this lawn just full of like those little American flags. They're like a foot tall, whatever. And just like, oh God, what's this about? It's like are we going to see like a Trump sign on the lawn or something? And then it's like, oh, remember the fallen. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's acceptable then.
It's weird when you see flags now, the assumptions that can be made or that are made.
Right.
I don't know how bad that is.
I don't know.
It seems horrible. It seems like the most self-deprecating country is America. It's weirdly like the most, they have those like, oh, America's the most confident. It's like the most confident and self-deprecating country in existence at the moment.
Right. Yeah.
There's no other country, I assume, that like feels weird flying their own flag.
I don't know. Maybe Germany.
Maybe, but I don't know. I feel like everyone reps their shit hard. They're just like, yeah,
that's true.
Germany, but
yeah,
I've never been, so I couldn't say.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, anyways, I had a good day yesterday.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah, I did the Sonoma Plein Air event, as was mentioned in the last episode, and yeah, a few people came by that I knew from Instagram, but yeah, aside from that, made a bunch of sales, so that was good. Snapped a no sale streak that I had for that event, so that's good. Yeah, that's cool. I did something a little different this year where I was just basically doing a bunch of little Sonoma County landmark paintings and doing these little gouache studies to go along with the oil paintings I was doing for the show too. And so I displayed them both, and I'm not sure exactly what I can pinpoint the success of the show to, but I did end up selling most of the gouache pieces, and I'm wonder if that helped to sell the oil paintings as well, or if it was like vice versa. But either way, it seems like both of them helped to sell each other, which was cool.
Right.
So yeah, it was nice to actually like feel like you were actually doing the right thing this time.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder, do you put red dots on things?
Yeah.
I wonder if just seeing red dots attracts people even more.
It might, yeah. There is a weird psychology that happens there. It's just like, oh, I better buy one of these before
they're all gone.
Before they're all gone. Yeah.
Idea of scarcity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. So did you sell the gouache first?
Most of the gouache ones sold first. Yeah, I did. Yeah, because the gouache ones were only like 6x8, so I'm not pricing them that high. But they were some of those sold, but then like the oil paintings started selling too. So I'm curious, yeah, if people saw like the little gouache studies and saw red dots next to them, and they thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I should buy the big one.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a real correlation there, but
I'm sure there's some version of that.
Yeah.
Even if it's tiny. There's even if it's like I'm interested in buying the piece and like the red dots validate my decision.
right.
Might be
Yeah.
the case. But even then, it's still probably has some sort of psychological like benefit to them being there.
Right. Yeah. I think also what helped was that I did all these really recognizable places. Like
Right.
people really liked the one that I did like of do you know where the Washoe House is on Stony Point Road? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I painted that one. A bunch of people were like, "Oh, I know that place." Like,
Yeah.
So when somebody finally bought that one,
Yeah.
a lot of people had stories about it and stuff.
That makes sense. I mean, people love like being attached to the art. Like, I mean, I think that's in a weird way why people love like when people paint celebrities and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's super recognizable. There's probably some part of them that's attached to this human being in whatever form it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then somehow that helps them make the decision. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So good move on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Also, Vanessa got to meet a bunch of people that she basically just followed online. And it's always interesting, like that whole thing where you feel like you know somebody because you've seen their posts for like years before you actually meet them. But yeah, it's also that whole thing about like, there's a little bit of that awkwardness going on too, where you're just like, oh, I know you, but I don't actually know how to talk to you in person, sort of thing going on too.
I don't usually have that feeling, but from the podcast, I've met podcasters and I feel the opposite. Do you know what I mean? Where they're like,
oh, right. Like people who listen to the podcast is a little different.
Yeah. It's like they know me a lot more than I know who they are.
Right.
And it feels that way. Like it feels like they are like, I know who you are. And I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a common thing for podcasters.
But yeah, I don't know. I would only know people's work, and even then, I'm so fucking bad at names that unless it's like someone that I'm like, holy shit, that's you.
Yeah.
Then
right.
Then I would be like, oh, like there's been plenty of times where I'll talk to someone that's an artist and then I'll look them up and then I'm following them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, I follow you. Oh yeah, your work is hella dope.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like I'm so bad at names. I'm like, oh god damn it, I'm a piece of shit. But yeah. So I guess I don't have that issue because of that.
Right.
Which I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse.
I find
blurse.
a blurse. Yeah. There you go. I find that artists more often introduce themselves by their whole name because they're just like, oh, you might know me by my name, actually. Like, even if you don't recognize me as a person.
Yeah. I don't know if I do that or not. Maybe. I try not to tell people I'm an artist in general because I hate having that conversation in public.
Oh,
I would prefer to figure out if I like a person based off of like what they find funny.
Okay.
And then if they learn that thing, then it's like, oh yeah, we can talk about this now because I actually think you're a funny human being.
Yeah.
Or you have interesting conversation, or
yeah, just introduce yourself by going, my name's Josh. I like The Office and Always Sunny.
Yeah. I feel like I can usually pick up on, because I feel like for the most part, if I meet someone, I'm going to throw out like one shitty joke in the beginning somewhere.
Yeah.
And then if you can like throw it back at me, I'm like, okay, we have potential here.
Right.
There's this thing I make fun of MJ about, which is like when we first started dating, we were in the city at a bar. And I ordered a drink and I said something like quick, and then the bartender said it back quick, like something like really funny. And I was like, oh shit, that was like actually pretty good. And it went back and forth a little bit. And then MJ, when we first started dating, she was very jealous for whatever reason. And so she was like
Oh, was this
Josh.
bartender a lady?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so she was like, Josh loves this lady and they're in a relationship. Story of mine. And then she was just like mad the whole night. So good times. And I was like, I've never been to this bar before in my life. But yeah.
That's hilarious. So she just thought you guys are like old friends almost. Or...
Yeah. And I was like, it was just because she was funny. And I like when someone's funny, I like to like have that like quick banter back and forth.
Sure.
You know? But yeah. So now I don't. Now when people are bartender ladies, I just shut that shit down quick. Yeah. I say a funny joke, they say something back, and I say, I'm married.
Yeah.
Leave me the fuck alone. you wench.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I wonder, now that you say that, I want to pay close. Now it's like one of those things where I'm like I'm not going to not see it now.
Oh, yeah.
That you've said it. Or like Instagram handles is like another thing.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I've had people that connect us because I'm Josh and MJ's MJ.
Uh-huh.
So once they figure out like, oh, Josh and MJ, they're like, oh, Joshua the lawyer? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, and a lot of times they get like, are you really a lawyer? And I'm like, God damn it. The fucking worst joke I've ever made.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gotten that, but I hope I don't say introduce myself. Well, I don't know. I'm just, it's even weird with Josh and Joshua.
Oh, okay.
Because they go by Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't when I was a kid. I feel like, I don't know, when you're a kid, you're like, shorter names are cooler, bro.
Right, yeah.
But now I go by the long version because I don't know. It's
Trying to be more legit.
It's not even that. It's, I don't know. This might sound silly, but it's like, I don't even want to say it. We'll just keep moving forward. You guys, tell us what what you think I think about that. I don't know. But yeah. So well, I don't know. I don't know where this conversation's going. I think we ran into a wall.
Something about how we want to introduce ourselves. Like, yeah, I guess I don't really get that many follow-up questions. So I don't really mind telling people I'm an artist off the bat. They ask me.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever hung out with Monty in a fucking bar when he's feeling himself,
Yeah.
he will literally tell the whole fucking bar he's an artist.
Yeah.
And he'll tell the bar he's the best fucking artist.
Yeah.
And he'll
Yeah.
shout out to Monty. It's like, and then it'd be like, and Josh is an artist. I'm like, God damn it, man. Get that heat off of me. I'm just trying to drink and have a good time.
Right.
I don't want to talk to strangers about art.
Right.
And that's probably why Monty makes a lot more sales than I do. Because of that reason. But yeah.
He's from Bakersfield.
Shout out to Felicia. But that's such a good soundbite. Goddamn. Enough about names. I was so the other day I went to Shady Oak.
Oh, okay.
Because like a person I've recently befriended.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing in his band.
Oh, yeah. What was his name again? I forget.
God, I always forget last names. I know his name is John, but I forget his last name. I'll look it up right now so I'm not fucking shithead. I know it's something good, too. It's, Courage. Yeah, God damn it.
Oh, right.
I'm always like, that's such a good last name. I don't even know if that's his real last name, but it's a good last name.
Right.
But yeah, John Courage.
Should go by Josh Courage.
Yeah. Josh Badass. The last name's Badass. But yeah, John Courage and his band, they were playing at Shady Oaks, which is the brewery, for anyone listening, that we did a mural on with like the glowing flying barrels to like for reference. But then we met up with Tony Giraldi Brown.
Oh, okay.
Did I say that right?
You did this time.
Damn it. Look at that. Gabaldi Brown.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we were hanging out with him, and we started talking about because he was like, yeah, I'm just starting to like within like the last, I don't know, I think he said like 5 years or something, realize how to like teach himself how to do things. And I was like, oh yeah, that's like something I'm actually decent at doing. And
what does that mean? Like find info for himself?
Yeah, find info. I mean, there's some stuff that you could probably connect dots between, so you don't necessarily need like to do like a full-on DIY project, but you can like take a technique and then insert it into whatever. I mean, this is how it's applying to me. I didn't like ask him that question, but like my assumption is being able to teach himself how to do things. I don't know in what capacity he means, but like,
okay.
And we just started talking about how important that was. And I thought that was because I've been thinking about like in general, like teachers, right? And how important teachers are and aren't, like depending on the student, I suppose, and how interested they are. I mean, obviously teachers want students, I assume, that are interested in what they're teaching.
Right.
Which is probably why the school system sucks, because it's like, I don't give a fuck about, math or some shit like that. If you're not like inclined to do math, it's like after long division, you're like, all right, the rest of the shit is like unnecessary for me. Or not, depending on, then there's like the kid that's like, it's like a whole new world, don't you dare close your eyes kind of moment for him. A new fantastic point of view. You know what I mean? No one to tell you no or where to go. So I've been thinking about that, right? And then like what makes a good teacher, specifically in art context, right? Because it's like, I assume there are plenty of teachers that can lead you down a path that is just full of dumb shit. Do you know what I mean? A lot of, just follow your heart. There's nothing wrong. Kind of mentalities when you're like,
oh God, when
you're starting off, and you know what I mean? That kind of shit.
It's the worst advice you could give to a beginning artist.
Yeah. You can loosen the reins the better you get. But early on, you should definitely learn how to move some paint around correctly.
Right.
But yeah, so I've been trying to think about that. And then we had this conversation because obviously I'm as self-taught as you can be, I guess. Like I have YouTube. So Professor YouTube taught me some stuff, you know what I mean? And things like that. So the interweb helps, in reading stuff and
give it a goog.
And then kind of just like looking at people's work and trying to figure out how they did it. That's always like a thing that helps me learn how to do things.
Right.
So that's as self-taught as I mean, like in my mind, I'm like as self-taught as you can be in this current day. I didn't go to college. I had pretty subpar high school teachers, like, and then like, I mean, middle school.
Did you guys even have art classes in high school?
Yeah, we did, but they were shitty. Like, there was one teacher who was okay. She was like, she was all right. It was like a thing where like, I wasn't a great artist in high school, right? I thought I was a great artist.
Sure.
And I know by the time I graduated, I was like much better than she was as an artist. You know what I mean?
How funny.
And I wasn't good. So, so that like, that kind of tells you how good, and she was like the best art teacher of the bunch. Shout out to Miss Foster, which changed her name to something, but and so that's just. But I mean, but then there's like I'm sure you're the same way, but you just like are obsessed about the thing. Do you know what I mean? That's like a good student. It's like, I'm just obsessed about the thing. Like,
sure.
I just do it all the time.
Right.
and I can't not do it. And, I don't need like motivation.
Right.
It's like if you're like naturally inclined in whatever way that means, and then you're obsessed about it, then all of a sudden, like, for the most part, you're probably going to get a pretty decent artist.
Yeah.
And then a teacher can, if you have a good student, a teacher can fast forward that student to be there faster.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, even then I'm kind of curious how good and bad, like the pros and cons of that, of fast forwarding someone.
Okay. What would be the cons to that?
Just that they don't develop different habits than the teacher.
Oh, okay.
And so there's like this uniform kind of like cohesiveness between everyone that can sometimes get stagnant. And then I think there's interesting things to like how people problem solve, right? Based on like either habits or whatever that sometimes can add to the work in a super interesting way. And sometimes that's lacking if you went like a route that can fast forward you to like create the art, but then you haven't necessarily, I don't know, figured out other ways to be interesting. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's like classical music versus jazz, I suppose. Like, you know what I mean? Like the jazz musicians, I don't know how often they were classically trained, but they figured out interesting ways to like do the thing. Do you know what I mean? And then the classically trained person is like, yeah, that's fucking awesome and amazing. And you understand music theory and all the great things that come along with it. It's just sometimes that can feel stagnant. I mean, I actually really like a lot of classical music, but yeah, it's like, and I probably like classical music. I listen to classical music way more than I listen to jazz, but it's, but at the same time, I'm not saying like, I just think that there's differences that create different, I don't know, things. You know what I mean? That I find, and I'm not saying that it's always bad. I just think that there's pros and cons of both, and just being aware of them is kind of like interesting in its own right.
Yeah, it makes me think from the teacher's perspective, like especially me, who I'm trying to be a teacher and I have to like find my own students basically. And what I've noticed is that people who really like sell a specific thing, like a specific like tip or subject that they're trying to teach you, seem to do better than people who are a lot more like general about it, where it's just like, oh, I know like my technique can help you learn to paint a lot bigger range of subjects, but you have to kind of package it into this thing where like, oh, I'll help you paint waves or whatever things are people saying,
or paint like me kind of things. Like if you have an artist that does a thing in a certain way, then all of a sudden everyone wants to like learn how to paint like them. It's like, why would you want that?
But that's the dilemma there, where it's like, yeah, I can like make money by teaching you how to paint this specific thing, but it's like, oh, I'm not really doing my, like for the art world, I'm not really doing like a student a real service by doing that. It's kind of like you're almost like selling yourself out, the teacher version of that. I
don't know. I mean, I don't know,
but it's hard because people, that's what they want to pay for, or at least like beginners do. I guess you just have to kind of more try and find more, try to I guess market yourself more to more serious students, even though it's like a way less bigger market. I don't know. Maybe that's not true.
I find that like a lot of people that paint uniquely, right? The reason why is because they have these habits they form, right? That they maybe, and then that becomes a problem solver for them in whatever capacity. And that thing grows and becomes a super interesting thing, right? But a lot of the times those aren't like unique techniques. They're techniques that they're like scaled to like a different level than most people would apply them to, right? So like if you learn all the techniques, you can be like, oh, you can like end up like there's like, for instance, right now, right? You know, like the thing where you put paint on a toothbrush and you flick it.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm really trying to like play around a lot with that
Okay.
because I mean, it ends up feeling like spray paint in a bit, and I've been trying to like have that texture recently, or not recently, for a long time. I've been trying to like replicate that texture, and I just realized recently, like, oh, I can just do like the toothbrush thing, like to like most people do it to get like a little bit of like a little bit of like dustiness or like a little bit of like a splash on something. And I'm like, if I just continue to do it like a lot, then it just has that like fuzziness edge that I like to spray paint. And then it's like, all right, well, how can I apply this to my work? And so I'm like really interested in how I can like do this, implement this into my work in a way that I find like super interesting and I'm really excited about. I'm already really excited about it, but like it might grow, and then it might, I'm not saying it will, but at some point it might be like a feature of my work, right? It might be like something where like, oh, like it's like a moment where you can identify my work even easier or something like that based on this technique.
Okay.
And how I apply it, right? And then it's like if I continue this technique and use it for years, right, and I get really good at figuring out interesting ways to apply it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, learn my class to fucking learn what I do, and then I'm like, yeah, I get a toothbrush and fucking flick it a bunch.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the answer. But it's like, it's a technique everyone can learn, right? You might even be like, oh yeah, this is how you can do that thing, and people might be able to understand it.
Yeah.
But it's like, who's going to obsess about like the one technique that they find super interesting and how they can apply it in the way that they think is cool? And then not only do that, but then like do it for like years to a point where like now you're like really good at that one technique, and somehow it like, it feels different from everyone else's because you put in that effort. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. It's interesting when you see an artist now, you know, and then you go back and then you see kind of when they crack that little like thing, and they're like, oh, you could see it a little there. Oh, you could see it more there. And then you can see how they apply it in different ways. And then sometimes there's like a pullback or a tightening because it went too far or something. And then they pull it back, and then it's like, oh, this is a really good moment in their body of work or something. You know,
right. Yeah. That reminds me of like Jeremy Mann when he first started using the squeegee things. And like everybody was like, I don't even know how he made that mark. And then you find out it's like squeegee. It's like now everybody's got the squeegee out.
Right. Yeah.
Start seeing that a bunch. It's just like, okay, well, he like spent like years trying to get to a point where people even cared that he was doing it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing. Yeah. We're like, yeah, you can learn what he's doing and you could even apply it. But then it's like, you're not going to learn any of that in a class. You know, you're going to like just learn
what the thing actually is.
And then you're going to have to like figure it out on your own.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Right now I'm messing around with, you know, which brushes are grainer brushes? They're the ones that like, they're like flat brushes, but they have, like less hairs at the edge of them or at the tip.
Oh yeah, they look like they have like, it's like an edge, and then it like comes like that. It's like that, right?
Sort of, yeah. So I've been messing around with those because like mostly in gouache, like I've tried to figure out ways to make softer edges without having to like mess with the actual surface of gouache, like putting too much water on it makes like a lot of weird things happen that you don't necessarily want. But with the grainer brushes, you can kind of feather things out with a little bit more control. So I've been playing around with that, and I'm just wondering like when I'm going to get to the point where people are just like, oh, how'd you get that edge? Like, with gouache, like it's kind of like a lot of people are trying to crack that code of like how to make gouache like more immediate, like because I don't know how much you've played with gouache. I know you don't like it that much. Yeah. And like one of the things you didn't like about it, right, was the was how like the values shift on you so much. So like that's like one of the things that I've been really trying to figure out too, like how to make the values not shift on you so much, and how to make like not as many hard edges, like just to make it feel a little bit more like how immediate, like I'm used to working with oil. So just trying to figure that out means like I'm just playing around with all these different techniques and things like that. And it's just at a certain point, people are probably going to want to know all that stuff. Right. Just like pay up.
Yeah. Even with like, well, I don't know. I mean, it depends on like what your intention is, I suppose. Right. So like, I assume you're just geeking out on technique, and then at the end of the day, like the hope is that you can, be financially secure through your art. But I assume that's not your like motivation, or it might be. I don't fucking know.
It's half and half probably at this point.
But because like the flicking of the paint or the fucking toothbrush is just something I was like,
that's something I've been messing around with gouache as well.
I was just like interested in like, oh, that's like that's the edge I wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
And then and I've been trying to figure out, but and I kind of stumbled into it a little bit. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, like flicking paint with, but I had this like the painting I did for Modern Eden recently.
Okay. Yeah.
I in my mind I had these like colorful floating like clouds.
Okay.
As like a narrative tool. And I had like so I had like one the painting is like split, like vertically split in like in a way. And then I had like there's like there's a shift, which in my mind is like is a narrative tool as well to like explain like forward progress.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
and so I have like this like rainbowy cloud, right? And then like on the like as in like in front of the figure, because the figure's like direction is kind of pointing that way, and then there's the shift, and then on the bottom left there's like another like rainbowy cloud, not really rainbowy, but like little specks of color in it. And I was like, oh, I'll just do that by like flicking different colors in the thing. And then but I wanted to do it a lot. I wanted it just to be really dusty. That was the idea.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I was like, oh, if I just do this a ton, it just ends up looking like spray paint, which is actually, I wanted to use spray paint, but I was like, I don't know. Like I just, I don't really like taking that risk and like hoping that it like ages well or whatever.
Right.
Especially if I don't have to. So then when I did that, I was like, yeah, it looks exactly like what I wanted it to look like. So then that's when I was like, how can I put this in different parts of the painting? And then there was like, it was like backlit a little bit with like an orange in her like hair or on her shoulder. And I was like, I'll just do that there too. And then I was like, ooh, this is getting real fun.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think, and this goes back to like what we were first starting with, which is like the idea of like teaching yourself, which is, so when me and Tony were talking, it was just like, this might be like, that might be the most important, in my opinion, it's the most important skill set you could have as an artist, is just being able to teach yourself stuff in whatever capacity.
Yeah.
Is being able to like have a question, like identify the question, and then be able to figure out how to answer it in whatever form you need to like keep moving forward in a piece. It might not even be the correct answer later on. If you look back at the piece, you're like, fuck, I didn't have that answer yet, but I found something that kind of worked, but now it looks shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that like skill to, figure out things and learn how to do new skill sets and apply them to what you do, or like be open to like seeing something you've always done and then scaling it or pulling it back depending on if it hurts your piece or helps it.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if somebody if somebody disagrees with that, what their reasoning would be. Like,
For what?
For like, for it being important to be that self-sufficient when it comes to gathering knowledge, because there are a lot of people who like just love taking classes and stuff like that.
Well, they know how to learn. I mean, that's how they learn.
Right.
I mean, it's just that's a very common way to find answers. So like if you can teach yourself something through a teacher, that's perfectly fine, right? Like, but it's just like it's not the only way to do it. Even I would even argue, like, even if a teacher's teaching you something, you should still probably have to like learn it yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that skill set of like, just because I took in the knowledge doesn't mean I understand it or know it or whatever.
Right.
You know, there's the teaching yourself process of it.
Oh, okay. So you mean like doesn't really matter the method you get the knowledge. It's like how you're going to actually absorb it and apply it and actually like.
I mean, if ever anyone was to ask like, how do you learn something? School would never be a ridiculous answer.
Sure.
Right. So to me, it's like, but that's one answer to like a question that has like infinite answers, you know? So it's like, that's one answer. I mean, YouTube could arguably be just as, if not more powerful than schooling ever was. You know what I mean? Like, I know people that learn more through YouTube than they did through school.
Yeah.
At least through school, maybe past a certain point. You know what I mean? And so like, I don't know. There's just a ton of different ways to learn. There's like, and then there's like the like internal like dialogue you have with yourself when you learn something, and then maybe something clicks, and then sometimes you like will end up like, say if you taught someone something, right? Let's say if you create a video, right? And you teach someone something, and then they go and they apply it, and then even if they don't comprehend it, if they go back and watch the video, there might be like this like doubling of the knowledge where after they applied it, now they understand it. Once you say the thing again, does that make any sense? Like once you re-say it, then they're like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what just happened. I totally know what that means now. And I have this huge grasp of what he's talking about. And then they can build on top of them finally understanding what you meant, you know, when you said like little things that might be like too advanced for the common human.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
You know, so like, or the unknown or the unskilled artist or whatever. So like, but like, that's because they had like that internal moment with just them doing the thing that they saw, and then understanding like, oh, that's the flick of the wrist. That's the, whatever it is. Yeah. And then understanding like, okay, now I get it. Now I can build on top of like that vocabulary and that knowledge with whatever else they're about to say and teach me. Do you know what I mean? But it takes like, there's like that internal human being teaching themselves while also being like externally taught whatever the thing is. But yeah, I mean so that's why, I don't know. And then understanding like, so identifying the issue is also like huge, right? Like, because at some point, like if you're an artist, you're not being taught, you're not like at school anymore. So you have to like be able to identify issues that you think you're having and then figure out how to like problem solve that, whatever way that means. Like it doesn't even necessarily have to be within your technique. It might be like, or like subject matter or whatever. It could be literally anything. It could be like finding the correct gallery for me. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever the fuck that is. Like figuring out how to find like the right audience to sell my work better. Right. That kind of shit is all like identify the problem and then how do I figure out that solution? Right. You know? And that's you have to be able to teach yourself how to find that answer or else you're just not going to get there. Yeah. Unless something luckily falls in your lap, which is like leaving shit to luck, which I mean, I don't know. Even with hard work and great artwork and good luck and finding the answers, you still might fail. Do you know what I mean? Right. So like, So like, don't you like to like remove one element from it and just, of like success, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like it, and it's just like, to me, you're lowering your odds of creating like the world you actually want to live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sound kind of hippie, but you know what I mean?
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I think to me, like figuring out like being able to like identify problems and then teach yourself how to like solve that problem in whatever capacity that means.
Yeah.
Obviously, schooling, teaching, the internet, I don't know, talking to your peers, talking to people that you know are successful in the area that you want to be more successful in, and like picking their brain because you've built relationships with them and they're willing to like share that information or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't mean like share that information like they're hiding it from people, but like there's only a limited amount of time. It's not like I'm going to take the time out of my day to answer everyone's questions, do you know what I mean? That are like, that they have to fulfill their thing. It's like the more you're invested in a human being, the more you're willing to take the time out of your day to like help them out.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by like, they're willing to share that information or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's just, to me, that's like, I mean, like for instance, like MJ, right? Like she has one really common way of figuring out how to solve a problem, and that is just to ask me to fix it.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that drives me crazy. And I'm like trying my hardest to figure out how to like stop her from doing that. And so because
like helping her be more self-sufficient.
Yeah. And I guess the question is, how do I do that? Right. So then it's like, I tell her, no, leave me alone, figure it out. You got this. Yada, yada. You know what I mean? Like think about how, like those type of, it's like I have to like force her to like remove her training wheels.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so there's like that, a ton of conversations like that, and it's like, and trying to figure out how to like pinpoint how she learns and how she figures these things out outside of me, so that she can like be more self-sufficient,
Yeah. Does she like watch YouTube tutorials and stuff too?
I don't think so. She's always like, those things are boring. She watches like influencer girl painters that have like vlogs.
Yeah.
Like, but it's funny because that's how she has a YouTube channel, so she's like, that's how she like learns how to like figure out what she wants her YouTube to look like. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like, well, you could do that with your art too. Like you could like look look through like artists and try to figure out how they apply paint and how they solve these problems. You could do that. You know what I mean? Without me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those frustrating things. I'm not a fucking teacher. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I fucking hate teaching people. And I've somehow become MJ's grasshopper. Is that right? Or no, if the guy's the grasshopper, what's the other guy?
Actually don't know.
Is it Sensei and Grasshopper?
I actually don't know what the metaphor is, actually. I always hear grasshopper, but you don't hear what the other one is.
Yeah. I just have to give her a black belt and then have her go on her way.
Right.
Give her and be like, now you must go into the world and fight evil, I guess. I don't know what you do with a black belt.
Yeah.
You go out into the world and not fight?
Yeah. Find them all. Open up your own school.
Exactly. And then, you know what I mean? And then teach your kids the way of Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Or end up on one of those Instagram, what's the name of that one? It's like McDojo something.
I don't know. What is it?
It's basically an Instagram account where they highlight like bad martial arts teachers.
Oh yeah, like the ones that are like they're like throwing people on the floor without touching them.
Yeah, that kind of shit.
Man.
Yeah.
So that's when you like, those are the things that like make you realize how crazy human beings are.
Yeah, they remind me of like the new version of like the what do you call it? Like the churches who like speak in tongues and handle
touch your head and you faint.
Yeah,
exactly. It is. Yeah, and then you see the class and it's like full of people, and you're like, fucking hell! Like they pay that guy,
right?
I mean, someone will bitch about like a painting being too expensive, and you're like, I mean, dude over here is fake throwing people across the room.
Yeah,
and they're cutting them a check every month.
Yeah.
And God damn it. What the fuck am I doing wrong?
Stop throwing money at Sensei Jason.
Stop throwing money at like trying to be sensible. Just start fucking talking about how our paintings give energy to folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking bullshit. God damn it.
Yeah.
This painting helps you sleep better.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
I ground up crystals in my painting and put it in the pigment.
Yeah, I ground up rare elements. And
yeah. That's funny because it's literally what
I know. That's why it's like, I ground up rare elements and put them into this, infuse them into this this natural wood canvas
right
from an aged wise oak tree.
I rearranged them in a way that pleases the eye.
Yeah. That draws energy from stars.
Yeah, exactly. You mean lights just hitting your canvas and bouncing?
Yeah, from stars. You can say stars. Just like from star.
From star.
God damn it! Fucking hell! Yeah, this is what we're competing with.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just like, it's great, right? And they're like, but that one over there says it's gonna cure my sadness.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, marketing art is like a whole other thing when you start to get into people who like, when you know too much about art, it's like almost a detriment to actually selling your stuff.
I know. Fuck.
Because you can't bullshit it yourself.
I know. And then they'll point to some garbage and be like, look at that genius. You're like, that one over there?
Yeah.
That one right there. That's the one you think is genius, huh?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Because of, I don't know. Because of,
artist.
because of paint splatter.
Right.
Or, I don't know. God damn it. Or reflection stuff. Shiny things.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fucking hell. God, I need all my friends to win the lotto is what I need. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And then buy a couple of ratings.
That's all we want.
Yeah. I don't even need to win the lotto with you guys.
Yeah.
I just want you guys to all buy a painting or two.
Right.
But yeah. Yep. Well, that was my one thing. I thought, we should probably get time. This is a mini-sode. Well, we did it.
All right.
52 minutes. Did you have anything else to add, Sergio?
My mind just went blank. No.
I'm going to be in Wide Open Walls in Sacramento. Then I think this will come out when I'm still there. So if you want to hang out or grab a drink after or whatever, hit me up.
Yeah.
If I'm able to. I mean, the drink might be hard, but if you want to hang out, come by the wall, feel free. We could chit chat for a bit.
Nice. Yeah, I also actually now I can remember things. I have a little mini workshop with Etcher this Friday. I want to say it's at 10 a.m. Pacific time, but I will put stuff on my Instagram to promote that a little bit better. So check that out when this comes out and you hear it, and I'll have more info for you. But if you're interested in learning more about gouache, it's a little workshop that I'll actually like go through my whole process there. It's only $6, so you can afford that.
That's a bargain.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. This has been Waiting to Drive. If you're still listening, fuck off. We just suck at talking. We're just suck at talking. That's so good.